Tonight, our fourth guest is the violinist Freya Goldmark. We're delighted to have you. Freya began playing the violin at the age of 4 after begging her parents for lessons. Now aged 24, Freya graduated from the Royal College of Music in 2018, where she had been a foundation scholar. And since making her concert debut aged just 13, she's enjoyed a busy career, having performed as a soloist at many esteemed UK venues. By the age of 14, Freya had performed in several countries around the world, and as well as solo recitals, Freya now works with a number of English orchestras, including, of course, our very own Rutland Sinfonia. She's greatly looking forward to performing Carl Goldmark's violin concerto with Oxford Symphony Orchestra in 2021. Freya is a great advocate of chamber music, and as a chamber musician, she's performed at many prestigious venues, including not less than Sandringham House for His Royal Highness Prince Charles. She's passionate about not just about performing the music she loves, but also bringing it to as many people as possible. And at the age of 19, she decided to found her first chamber music festival, very local. It's now known as Stamford International Music Festival. And not content with that, in September 2019, she was appointed the position of festival director at Cambridge Summer Musical Festival. Freya loves to cook, and in the summer of 2020, moved from London to live near the sea in North Norfolk. And during 2020, she has been really enjoying relearning the piano after being given one of them by her neighbours. She says, quoting Arthur Rubinstein, "Of course, there is no formula for success, except perhaps an unconditional acceptance of life and what it brings." Well, welcome, Freya. And these are wise words in these troubled times. And I mean, what a challenging time to be a musician. How do you feel you've coped with the challenges of the coronavirus?
Wow, how have I coped? I think up and down, but one of the nice things actually is that I have music to do. So if you're feeling rubbish, or it's, you haven't got a concert and things are cancelled, you can go and express yourself through your instrument. And actually, I think I've appreciated that more than I ever have before. And it's also not that I ever questioned if I wanted to be a violinist or not, but it's really made me know that it's definitely what I love to do, and I love performing because I miss it so much. So.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great stress reliever, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's time for your first track, Freya. So what is it and why have you chosen it?
So my first track is Schubert Impromptu, Opus 142, which is in B flat major, the third one. And this has been a favourite piece of mine, I think, since I was probably 8 or 9, which I think is when I learnt it. I used to play it on the piano when I was little.
Okay.
And for me, this is perfection in music. And I think that Schubert has such an amazing way of conveying emotion, actually. And often you can think that it's just happy or it's just one thing, but if you look at it, it's always got more to it. Like, I find this piece really nostalgic, and I just think it's perfect.
Lovely. Well, let's hear it then. Beautiful, really good choice. And it's one of those pieces that, as soon as I heard it, of course, I recognised it, but wouldn't necessarily have known what it was. So you've told me that, so you've taught me that, so that's absolutely lovely. So in your introduction, I said that you'd begged your mum and dad to play the violin. Now, was that because, were they resistant to the violin, or was it just that they thought you were too young, or?
Well, they're watching right now, so
yeah. Perhaps they can tell us. Yeah.
I think they thought I was maybe a bit young because I was 4, and I had this weird obsession actually with wanting to play the violin. I was really yeah, desperate basically. And my older brother played the piano, which is much easier when you're little. So I think my mum thought that maybe it'd be easier to start on the piano, but yeah, I wasn't having it, and I was going to play the violin.
And did you remember what had actually inspired you to play it?
No, I can't remember actually. I think I was always really drawn to it. I loved watching buskers and like pictures that had violinists in them, and I really truly believed, it sounds very strange, but I truly believed that I was a violinist. So when I was, before I had the violin, the reason I wanted it so much was because I kept telling my parents I was a violinist and I needed my violin. So I was really like, that's what I was going to do. And actually the first day that my dad brought it home, and it was like this big, I got it out and I went and sat on the steps in Uppingham outside my parents' house, and I put my case in the street and I played the violin. And I remember that, and I remember like thinking I could play it, and like being confused as to why I was told to come inside. Yeah.
What a great story. Your first experience of busking then.
Yeah.
Have you done any other busking since?
Not very much. No. Only a few times. Yeah.
So it says that you gave up kind of normal schooling to focus on your instrument. So do you remember much about that time and that decision? How you felt about it? Or?
Yeah, so I left school when I was 12. So it was in my second year of senior school. And I had gone to Oundle School, which is a really academic school and also really great for music, very, very busy. And at the same time, when I was 11, I'd started lessons with my teacher in London. And so I was really busy. Actually, I mean, so busy for an 11-year-old, and I was getting up at like 6 a.m. to practice and then going to school. And I practiced at lunchtime, and I missed certain lessons to practice, and it was exhausting. And I think very quickly, maybe after a term or so, I told my parents I didn't want to go to school anymore, and I wanted to leave, and I wanted to do violin. And they thought I should stay for a bit and check if I was sure. And I didn't change my mind. And I was just very focused on what I wanted to do, and I didn't enjoy being at school very much. So I really wanted to leave.
So that's when you went to the Royal College of Music?
No, I was homeschooled.
Oh, okay.
I went to Junior Royal College from about the age of 15 on Saturdays. But I went to Royal College, the main college, just when I was 18, so the same age anyone would go.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, it's time for your second track, Freya. So what is it and why have you chosen it?
So I've chosen Mendelssohn's Octet. I chose this, well, I really wanted to choose the violin concerto, but then I also really wanted to choose the octet, and there are only 6. So it's going to cover the concerto as well.
Okay.
This is one of my all-time favorite things to play. And I remember the first time I played it, I was on a chamber music course. I think I was 14. And in the evenings, everyone sight reads together. And I didn't really like doing the sight reading because I wasn't very good at it, and it made me nervous. And one of the teachers came out of a room and pulled me in and said, "Freya, we need you to play now." And he didn't tell me what I was about to play, and sat me down in a seat. And the first violin part of Mendelssohn Octet was in front of me, and everyone was ready. They all had their instruments out. And then I played it, and it was the first time I'd ever heard it or experienced it. And I remember that so much. And that, yeah, it's just the most amazing music, and playing it with other people is so brilliant. So yeah.
Okay, well, let's hear it. What a great tune. I've been humming it all day, actually, because I was listening to all your choices again. And he just writes great tunes, doesn't he, Mendelssohn?
Oh,
Which
it's
is fantastic.
amazing. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. So when did you, can you remember exactly when you kind of thought, I really want to make this my career?
Yeah, when I was 4.
Right.
I'm really not, I mean, I don't have, I know that sounds really weird, but I don't have any memory in my life of not thinking that I was going to be a violinist.
Okay.
I was really just sure, and no one's made me do it, and I just yeah, it's just what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And you've never had any doubts. You've never had a plan B. It's always just been.
I probably had doubts about whether I was good enough, or can you work this hard, because it's hard work. So yeah, you have doubtful moments and doubtful days. In terms of a plan B, don't know really. Probably not a plan B, but I think that the skills that you learn from not just learning an instrument, but perfecting any craft is something that's really hard and requires a lot of different skills, and those can be applied to all sorts of things in life. So if my arm falls off tomorrow, I can use all the things that I've learned and do something else.
Absolutely. Yeah, huge amount of discipline and hard work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how was it moving to London as a student? How did you find that?
Well, I was so excited to move to London. I grew up, I lived in Lower Bennerfield near Oundle, and I've been going to London every weekend since I was 10 for violin lessons. So I kind of knew London, and I was absolutely desperate to move there and live in a city, not in a tiny village. And I already knew lots of people from music courses, so I was really thrilled to go there. As it turns out, after 6 years of living there, I'm actually much more comfortable in the countryside. City life is not for me, but I enjoyed it very much while I was there.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, it's time for your third track, Freya. What is it, and why have you chosen it?
So we're departing a little bit from some of the other choices. So I've chosen Dolly Parton, 9 to 5, and the reason I've chosen that, I mean, I could have chosen like hundreds of different things, but I have a car playlist. I'm a big car singer. I love singing in the car, and actually this came on when I was on my way home today on the radio. And I just think it's just such a party. I love singing along to it. I saw her live at Glastonbury. I went to Glastonbury lots of times when I was
wow. Okay.
And so I've sung this live with Dolly, and it reminds me of that. And yeah, it's great.
Wow. Okay, well, let's hear it. What a great choice, and what a woman. And I read actually at the weekend that she's never going to retire. She says she's just going to keep going.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe that too. Are there any particular violinists or any particular musicians that have inspired you?
Yes, definitely. More than we would have time to talk about, probably. But in terms of violinists, I've always loved, and actually pianists too, I've always loved the older generation. So people like Oistrakh and Menuhin, Milstein. I love, the old way of playing. I think it was in some ways more unique to each person, and that's brought out in old recordings as well. I listen to a lot of old recordings, especially pianists as well. But I think violinists, probably Oistrakh would be my kind of go-to.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have any sort of like female mentors in your career at all? Or
when you said female mentor, the first person I thought of was my mum.
Yes.
Because
Always our mums, yes, definitely.
me. Well, my violin teacher from when I was 11 was a man, but before that I was taught by Jane Page, who some of you might know.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I mean, she was a great violin mentor. She was brilliant, and she set me up really well for everything I've done, I think.
Fantastic. So your father is, of course, owner of the Goldmark Gallery in Uppingham, and as you said, you grew up in Rutland, and I think you've said that you were keen to return to your roots. So is that what prompted you to start the Stamford Music Festival?
Yeah, I've always loved performing locally. There's something really special about playing to people that you recognise and people that have been at your concerts since you were younger, or if they haven't, there's just you can really feel it as a performer when the audience is with you. And when I was at Royal College, I didn't get that vibe a lot of the time. When I was playing, I got a vibe of I'm being marked out of 100, or other violinists hoping that you play some wrong notes. And it really is, it's highly, highly competitive, and it becomes not so much about the music. I really wanted to do more chamber music too. And so that's why in my second year, I started planning this festival. And I just wanted to play really great music with my friends to really nice people. And I'm really lucky that I grew up in an area that's really beautiful, and it kind of suits being a music festival. And yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer for me to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think we would definitely agree that Rutland is beautiful, and one of the benefits of lockdown has been being able to explore it more thoroughly and find all the nooks and crannies. So it's time for your next track, Freya. So what is it, and why have you chosen it?
So my next track is Schoenberg's Verklasennacht. And actually, funnily, talking about the Stamford Festival, it was supposed to be kind of the main piece at the core of my festival this year, which was sadly cancelled. And I built the whole program around this piece. That's how much I love it. And the first time I heard this was at Lawrence Power's festival. And I don't think I'd ever heard any Schoenberg before, actually. And I was 18, I was in my first year at Royal College. And it just totally blew me away. And I actually cried my eyes out at this concert. And I don't think I'd ever cried at a concert before either. And I was so moved by it, and I'm still so moved by it. And I think it's just sort of true love in music, and it's extraordinary. And I think that people can be quite scared of Schoenberg, and they shouldn't be, and listen to more Schoenberg because it's amazing.
Okay, let's hear it. Great stuff, and I think you can hear in that some inspiration for some of the sort of more recent film music and things that we've been hearing. And he's obviously a big influence on a lot of musicians now.
Yeah, I think more than those musicians might know, actually.
Yeah. I mean, my dad, actually, funny enough, always told me never to listen to Schoenberg. I wish I'd ignored him now.
Well, it's never too late, is it?
No, absolutely. So one thing I was fascinated by in your biography, Freya, was about the Carl Goldmark violin concerto. And I'm ashamed to say that when I first read it, I thought, oh, perhaps Freya's got a brother or something who's a composer. And then, of course, I researched it and realised but although you are related to this person, aren't you? So could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes. And I'm now going to forget exactly how we're related.
Don't worry.
He is, I think, my great uncle's cousin, or maybe even closer than that. It's not direct link with Goldmark. There aren't very many Goldmarks in general. And it's a piece that, well, it's kind of his masterpiece of everything else he wrote. And he was a violinist as well, Hungarian violinist and composer. And this piece was played a lot in the 20th century, and it's kind of dropped out of the repertoire. And I think that part of that is because it's quite hard. It's a bit boring to learn just because it's quite violin-y, actually.
Okay, yeah.
But there are amazing recordings of it. Hellman, Milstein, Joshua Bell, who else? Well, there's lots. Heifetz has recorded the second movement, and it's really good. It's really great music. And Goldmark actually taught Sibelius.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's an amazing link. And there's bits of the Sibelius violin concerto that I think are really inspired actually by Goldmark's violin concerto, which is really interesting. It's great music, and I remember listening to it in the car with my dad when I was little, and him saying, "Oh, one day you get to play this piece. Like Goldmark plays Goldmark," and so I'm super excited.
Yes, yeah, and with Oxford Symphony Orchestra, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, really exciting. Well, I don't know whether they're a lot of places now seem to be doing live stream, or you can buy digital tickets. So I guess perhaps even if we can't make it in person, we could perhaps still get a ticket. Fantastic. Well, it's time for your next track, Freya. So what is it, and why have you chosen it?
So my next track is a Sarah Vaughan song, Stairway to the Stars. And I love Sarah Vaughan. I also love Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, Aretha Franklin, Billie Holiday, all these people, because, well, I think actually it's the same as loving all the old recordings and the old violinists. That way of making music was so incredible. And I think her voice is so unique, and her version of this song, I think it's just stonking. It's really good. So she's there representing all of those other singers that I love so much.
Okay, let's hear it. Yeah, that's a wonderful track, and I sort of feel myself being transported to a nightclub somewhere, even if I can't physically go to a nightclub at all at the moment. Not that I do go to nightclubs very often, but yeah, definitely mentally transported there. You can really imagine that, and an amazing singer. Yeah. So Freya, obviously you've worked very hard to build up the Stamford Festival, and you're involved with the well, you're director of the Cambridge one as well. Do you think personally that classical music is as popular as it ever has been?
Ooh. No, probably not.
Okay.
I think it should be. I think that's actually something I'm really passionate about, is making it more accessible to more people, and breaking down the idea that it's somehow elitist or for a certain type of person, because it just isn't. You know, we can see that with little children. It doesn't matter who they are, they'll react to music because it's great. So I think that we could do much more in this country actually to fund classical music also, to reach more people. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that we in the orchestra are concerned about. You know, we want to try and make our concerts, or we want to try and encourage more young people to come to our concerts, definitely, because they are the future of music. And I'm glad you agree. And yeah, I mean, I always tell young people, you know, don't try not to attach labels to music. Just if it moves you, you know, just go with it, and don't worry about whether it's classical or jazz or whatever.
One positive thing is that I think for a long time people have been saying, oh no, the future of classical music, because it's all older people in the audiences, but we've been saying that for like 60, 70 years and the audience is still there. So maybe people come to it later in life as well, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That's interesting. So you've had, although it's been a challenging year for you, it's also been a very exciting year in terms of your move. So how did you decide to make the move to Norfolk? What prompted it?
Well, it was actually decided before lockdown. So it wasn't a kind of, gosh, I can't bear London anymore, I'm going to it was already planned. I'd always thought that at some point I'd like to move, but I thought it'd be when I was a bit older, and I had this kind of idea that you have to be in London to be a musician in the way that I want to be. And but I also always said that I wanted my career to get to a point where I could live anywhere I wanted to. And then I kind of had this realization, I suppose a year or so ago, more than a year ago, that I could live wherever I wanted within reason. And I was driving to Cambridge a lot from London for meetings and things, and going to see my family in Rutland. And I've always loved Norfolk. We came to North Norfolk a lot when I was little. And it's just really nice, and it's much cheaper than living in London. And I don't mind traveling back for rehearsals and when they happen again. So it's just a beautiful place.
Very inspiring, I bet. Do you think you'll begin a kind of Norfolk Chamber Music Festival?
Probably, yes.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, well, I'll be first in live tickets then. That's great news. So it's time for your last track, Freya. So what is it and why have you chosen it?
So my last track is Beethoven's, one of his last piano sonatas, number 31, opus 110 in A flat. And the reason I've chosen this is, well, I think my favorite classical music to listen to is piano music, actually. I find it much more relaxing than listening to violin music. And I've always I love Beethoven because he's amazing. And I didn't know this sonata very well, and then I wanted to learn about it. So a few months ago, I set about listening to every single recording I could find of this piece, and I decided to not learn it on the piano because it's too hard for me, but to sort of learn it by listening to it. And I just sort of absorbed it over and over again, and I absolutely love it. I think it's just amazing music. And if I can say a little bit about Frederick Lamont, who I playing it, he was a Scottish pianist. I wrote this down. He was born in 1868, and it goes back to loving old recordings. And I think this piece is often hammered a little bit. It can be played really kind of like bangy and heavy, and he never does that with anything that he plays. And he uses huge rubato, which was really popular in the early 20th century. And I think it's probably much closer to how Beethoven might have imagined that this was played. So yeah.
Lovely. Okay, let's hear it then. Beautiful. I always think there's nothing more moving than Beethoven, really.
Yeah.
He's amazing. So we're nearly at the end, Freya, of the interview, but just a few sort of fun questions, really. So you say that you love to cook. Yeah. So would you say you're more of a Nigella or a Delia?
Oh, more of a Nigella.
Right. Okay. You've been watching her latest.
I have watched some of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. And you've played in front of royalty.
Yes, I have.
At Sandringham. And of course, while I've been watching The Crown, I imagine quite a few other people have been. So what was that like? And what did you play?
I've played for Prince Charles a couple of times actually.
Okay.
At Sandringham, I was playing quartet music with my quartet when I was at Junior Royal College,
Okay.
and we played all sorts of different things, and also the national anthem when he walked in, which was great fun.
Lovely. Did you actually meet him, or?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
A couple of years ago, I played for his 70th birthday party as well.
Wow.
But I didn't know that it was his birthday party until after I'd arrived and I saw a cake.
Oh, right.
I had literally no idea that that's what the event was. And then he turned up and we met him. And it was all very...
Oh, wow. Do you think they deliberately didn't tell you so you wouldn't feel so pressured, or?
Yeah, and probably so that we wouldn't tell anyone else. So
yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, how exciting. Well, thank you so much, Freya, for joining us. It's been great to hear more about you and to get to know you a bit better. And yeah, I'm sure we've got some questions for you from...
Your part of Norfolk's one of my favourite counties.
Oh, lovely.
With the view out to sea. So whereabouts are you near?
I'm near Fakenham. So I'm about 20 minutes from the sea.
Yeah. So I need to go back. It's therapy when I go there. So
yes.
You're a lucky person to live there.
Freya, can you tell us about your violin?
Yes. So my violin was made roughly in 1740, and it was made by a guy called Camillus Camilli, and I've been playing it for, I think, 4 years now. And I actually wasn't looking for a violin at all. I was quite happy. I was playing quite a modern instrument and I was fine with it. And then my violin teacher at the time phoned me up and said, I've heard this violin. I had a pupil trying it. They don't want it anymore. They're not going to buy it. And it sounds really like you. And he was really desperate for me to go and play this violin. So I went to play it and I completely fell in love with it. And luckily we found a way of buying it. So I'm very lucky. Lovely violin.
That requires a certain insight to say that an instrument is just you. Fantastic. How lucky.
Yeah, very lucky. Yeah.
I had a couple of questions now. Rachel wonders, said the pieces you've chosen have been lovely, quite serene. She's just asked, what would you, if you're playing with a big orchestra, a striking orchestra, what would you like to listen to and what would you like to play?
Ooh. Like with a
symptoms of symphonies, yeah.
My favourite symphony at the moment. I love Rachmaninoff's Second Symphony. I think that's so good. I love playing that in the car really loudly. And what else? I'm also really enjoying Beethoven Eroica at the moment. I'm really enjoying listening to that. And I think I'd enjoy playing just about anything with other people at the moment.
Right.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
So, on a related theme, Andy's asked what are your ambitions for the future? You've obviously had a great career so far. What are your ambitions going forward?
I would like to build my festival in Stamford more. I'd really like that to be recognised nationally as a really great place to hear great music. And I would like to play with a lot more people in a lot more countries. I'd love to do a lot of chamber music festivals. And I also would love to do more solo work too. I want to do a really broad mixture of things.
John's asking, was it Iger or David? Who's your favourite song?
David Oistrakh.
Freya, it's David back again. I'm also an artist, as most of the orchestra people know. Is there a particular artist that you like, considering the gallery that you're obviously connected to?
Yes. There's lots that I love. I've been really enjoying on Twitter. I've made my Twitter so that I follow mostly art accounts. So every day I just see lots of pictures, and I've been really loving seeing a lot more Dura. I think Dura is amazing, and more recent, I love Chagall a lot, Miro, Picasso, but also
like 20th century modern stuff though.
Yes, well, I've grown up around a lot of that, very luckily. So
I know you have, yeah.
yeah.
Good.
Rachel wondered whether you've got any burning ideas about how to encourage young people to come to concerts when we're allowed to.
What my general view is that I've noticed that sometimes we dumb down music for children, and I don't think we should do that. And I think that anything that you would play to adults, you should play to children too. And I think actually playing them the best music would be better than choosing kind of like easy pieces for them to be brought in. And then I think there are people who are trained so brilliantly to talk about music with children and to convey it to them. So that, and then also I don't think children should ever pay to go to a concert. So it should be free for people under the age of 18, I think. And that would help also because it's expensive if you've got a family.
Quite a lot of amateur orchestras probably do that anyway, don't they? But I think, you'd be struggle to find professional orchestras, I guess, that would not charge the children.
Yeah.
Helmut thinks that Holt could do with another festival as well as to go with the one in Kings Lynn. That could be another project for you.
I've got lots of ideas.
Because there's the Gresham School is at Holt, isn't it? And that, I think the chap that he's the director of music there. He runs the local amateur orchestra as well, I think.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, Keith Hobday, his name is.
Oh.
Because my mum, as I mentioned to you before, that my mum lives in Cromer, and two of her friends are I think a violinist and a cellist in the, I think it's the Norfolk Symphony Orchestra, I think.
Cool.
And I say he runs that, so yeah, he'd be a great person to speak to.
Thank you. It's very
to get things moving.
I've got another question. I've got an 8-year-old granddaughter who's just about to stop learning the violin. Because there's so many other distractions, these wretched screens and Xboxes and goodness knows what.
Yes.
Now, come on, what am I to do as a grandpa to stop her giving up?
I don't know. Does she play anything else or just the violin?
No, just the fiddle.
Well, it's very hard to play if you don't like it. Oh, well, I guess you could has she been to many concerts? Like big symphony orchestra concerts?
Not enough, because this sort of all blew up during the crisis. There's nothing on now, and there's no groups to play in.
Yeah.
And this, I think, the sort of community aspect of playing an instrument is so important.
Well, I think
if it's just you on your own, it's no fun.
Yeah.
I think that's happened to a lot of young people now. They've missed out on that opportunity to go and hear, because maybe going to see a symphony orchestra, you go, wow, I'd love to be able to do that one day, whether it's professionally or just for fun. So I would say try and take her to some concerts or show her some cool videos of.
So can we find you on YouTube easily enough?
You will be able to in about a week's time. At the moment, no, but I'm about to upload some.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much, Freya. That was great, and I wish you the best of luck in these challenging times. We're working hard to try and make sure that the Sinfonia gets up and running again as soon as this is all over.
Yeah.
Because we can't, like we can't wait to be back together again and playing. We all really miss it. So, but this is, at least these sort of things sort of keep us in contact with each other. So thank heaven for Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because
and Andy says we look forward to playing with you again, Freya.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
I'll come back whenever you want me to.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, great.
What concerto would you like to play for us next?
I don't know, Tchaikovsky. I'd love to play Tchaikovsky one day. I haven't played that with an orchestra yet. Or actually, I'd love to play a Mozart concerto. Or Sibelius, yes.
Andy just mentioned Sibelius. He's just finished to say that.
I played that with Peterborough Symphony Orchestra last year.
And I think John said maybe in Norfolk. So yes, perhaps we could go on tour.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We keep threatening to,
We have-
and it
yeah,
hasn't quite
we have
come off
talked
yet.
about
But
it.
You've got the Bingham Quartet up in Wales as well, so
Yes, yeah, very near me.
I think we'll leave it there then, Freya. But yes, thank you so much. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank